Welcome back, viewers, for another episode of ENC Question Reflection, where you learn truth, knowledge, and understanding. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and remind you, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button underneath the video, and comment if you have anything to say or any statements or any questions that you have. Also, make sure that you share this video with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so that we can make sure that other people get to hear the message as well. So, with that being said, y'all, let's talk. Today we're going to talk about something that is misunderstood. I'm not going to say that a lot of people don't know about it, because a lot of people do know about it. They just don't understand it. So let's talk about this. It's the word submission. It's the word submissive. So we hear women have this biggest problem with the word submissive, or that they should be submissive to their husbands, or that they should be obedient to their husbands, or they hear this stuff, and so they have the biggest issue with it, and then they warp on it and they talk trash about it, and that word, they could literally rip it into little pieces, and just because it rubs the women that wrong. Women, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tell you right now, you got the wrong idea. If you had the right idea and the right mindset when it comes to that word, you wouldn't have as many problems about it. You wouldn't have so many battles to fight in regards to it.
It doesn't make you less of a woman to be submissive to your husband. It's actually to me, it's powerful to see a woman submit to her husband, because it's something that she has to give.
Right. It's definitely a sacrifice, because and the reason I say it's a sacrifice is because a lot of times you have women that are either single, like independent women, self-sufficient women, who are coming into relationships and having to go from doing things to allowing the husband or the man in the relationship to do those things, and they have to humble themselves. They need to back down and let a man lead. And that's really what submission and submissive is about, is conforming to authority. Now, authority is someone in charge, of a leader. It is someone who it's kind of this, it's even the same thing of if you wanted to think about it, like when you go to work, a lot of people live for their jobs, and so they'll go to work and they'll be submissive to a manager. When a manager tells them to do something, they'll do it. If the owner of the company comes in, they'll do it just as quick as they can be. But when they go home,
husband say one word to him. Yeah.
It's a fight. It's a fight. It's a battle. And so a lot of women, they get this idea that submission means that you have to worship your husband. No, you don't worship your husband. You respect your husband. The Bible tells, if you're biblical, the Bible tells, Jehovah told women to have deep respect for their husband. They didn't even tell them, wives, love your husband. They said have a deep respect. Not just a little round levels of respect, but a deep, embedded level of respect for your husband. And with that comes submission. Now, am I telling you to be so submissive and so obedient that you'll do anything for your husband? And if God was to say, you know what, you can't lie, cheat, steal, which he does say that, and then your husband goes and says, I'm gonna need you to go get this from the store for me because I need it, and you're like, well, no, that's cheating, or that's lying, or that's stealing. Are you gonna go against who? Your husband or God? Because if you know what I know, is I know that even your husband has a head, and it's Jesus Christ, and then his father, Jehovah God. So even your husband has a head.
And always remember that hold on, what I want to say, how I want to say this. There's no two objects that are equal. The sun and the moon are not equal to each other, but they are both equally important. But they both have different roles and functioning. So that's all I want to say. Go ahead.
No, that's an excellent example. I'm flattered. But it's so true, because both of them give light. One lights the day, one lights the night. But you're not gonna, if you ever notice, the sun goes down at night and the moon comes up. But even you can even see the moon during the day. But in the daytime, the moon doesn't reflect, because the moon reflects the sunlight. That's how we get light at night from the moon, is because it actually reflects the sun. But they both serve a purpose. And there's a good example that I have about pilots. A lot of women don't understand their place or their role in a marriage or in a relationship. They come in with this idea that marriage is 50-50. Well, I'm gonna pay 50% of this, or I'm gonna contribute 50% of the necessities in the house, or this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm only gonna bring 50%. Well, the problem with that is, when you hit 50%, what do? Stop? What do? Not do anything else? I mean, what do you do about that? Like, did you really think about that when you were saying that? Marriage is 100-100, and let me give you the example about a pilot. If you ever get on a plane, you have a pilot and you have a co-pilot. There's never two pilots. It's always pilot and co-pilot. They both have the same agenda. They both know where they're going. They're both headed in the same direction. Excuse me. They both do separate things. They both know how to operate the plane, but they both have separate tasks to do. There's a huge dash in the cockpit that has lights galore and buttons and instructions, everything. But so let's say that they're flying a plane, and they're going somewhere, and something happens to the pilot who's actually flying the plane. Maybe he has a heart attack, maybe he has a stroke, maybe he just passes out. Is that co-pilot, which in a sense would be the wife, is that co-pilot just going to sit there and be like, I done gave my half, and just watch the pilot just not fly the plane? No. And a lot of women, when I give them that scenario, they'll be like, no, I ain't going to do that. I'm going to jump in. Of course, because marriage isn't 50-50. You're going to jump over there. You're going to already know how to do the pilot's job. But it doesn't mean that you're going to step on his toes while he's capable of doing it himself. But when he needs you, you're going to make sure that you step into that position, and you're able to help him. Keyword help. And see, that's part of being submissive, because that's what he asked you to do. He didn't ask you when something was wrong or something was good with him, or he was flying the plane right. He didn't ask you to, step back and just do my job.
Right.
No man's going to do that. No one's going to step back and just be like, okay, you can do this.
Do you look at your job with a 50-50 view? I'm going to go to work today, and I'm only going to do 50% of my job today.
Right.
Or you going to your job to do your best, to give 100%. If you give 100% for your job, to do your job, then how much more you should give to your husband, the man that will give his life for you. Your job, people on your job will not give their life for you. Your husband will. He will die for you at the drop of a hat. So, by that being said, then being submissive to a person that would die for you shouldn't be nothing that you frown upon.
Right. And ladies, look, being submissive doesn't mean that you have a collar on and the man has a leash and he's just dragging you around. You're not a dog, okay? You're not a dog. So, and I think a lot of women have that idea in their minds, that they get this image that submission means that he has a tie on you and or a collar, and he's just dragging you around on a leash like you're an animal. But that's not what that means. It's literally letting that man lead. Be in your proper position where that man can run a household. Don't make it difficult. I mean, come on. If you're, let's say, okay, so a lot of women have been managers before. So well, some of them, but you've been in a position, maybe you're a parent. Imagine your child or someone under you at work was being insubordinate. Imagine if you was telling them to do something and they didn't want to do it, even though it needed to be done. Or maybe your child was disciplining the other child when they didn't need to do that. You're stepping on toes. You're usurping your husband's headship whenever you take over or you put yourself into what he's supposed to be doing. Now look, I'm going to tell you this, men, and this is to men, is women don't understand submission. At the same time, that doesn't mean that you be tyrannical or be a tyrant about it. I hear a lot of women, they get so upset because they feel so unappreciated or they feel like they're doing this. Don't abuse your headship. Know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing as a man, and that's what you do. You know, your woman, they say whatever they want, but you just make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And the man of the hour has something to say.
Yes, and women, please stop saying that you wear the pants, because if you wear the pants, then that means your husband wears the dress.
Can't be two pilots.
It's not a good thing.
I'm gonna tell you what it does. He's being nice. I'm gonna tell you what it does. You emasculate your man. That's it. You emasculate your man, whether he shows it in his face that you just emasculated him. You just emasculated him by saying that, because it's a term. And I know a lot of women nowadays, we wear pants, but that figure of speech is literally saying, I'm the boss. I'm in charge. I'm the head of the household. He submits to me. That's a problem. And I'm going to tell you why that's a huge problem, ladies. I'm going to tell you why. Coming from a woman who's been married for 14 years, I'm going to tell you why that's a problem. Because headship is a man's natural role. And a man comes in a relationship, he already knows that. When you come in there and you start doing the, well, I'm finna run this finna happen. Eventually. It may not be happening right now because maybe he's tolerating it. Eventually. You're emasculating him. You're not making him feel good about himself. You're not making him feel manly at all. And then y'all be the first ones talking about, you such a sissy. You so sensitive. You a little crybaby. Why you always complaining? Why you nagging all the time? Really? Really? That's what you doing? That's what you say? That's how you talk to your husband? Someone you're supposed to respect? No, baby, you can't do that. You can't speak to your husband like that and expect that man to respect you on such a deep level and love you on such a deep level and tolerate you on such a deep level and continue to put up with you on such a deep level, because it's only going to take so much of emasculating that a man can take.
And men, you definitely have to be playing your role too. You have to be, if you want to be the king of the head hold, the leader of the house, or you always talking crazy.
The what?
To be the head of the household.
Oh, okay.
You must stand up and, act like a man and be a man of the household. You can't allow the woman to dominate you, because if we fall back and let the woman start doing everything, she's naturally going to take on that role of leadership. So if you fall back and I'm gonna let my wife do this and I'm gonna just chill and relax, then she gonna feel the need to step up.
Right.
So therefore we have to make sure that we are on point. We doing what we supposed to be doing as a husband, as a father. We need to be dealing with our kids. We need to discipline our kids. Our kids need to have respect for your fathers and your mothers, and that's what the father bring in the household, that discipline and respect that it needs, that runs smooth.
Right. And I'm gonna touch on something else, ladies. I'm gonna tell y'all it's gonna cause some stuff, but you know what? You know how I am. I speak what it is, and I speak from experience. So you ask any man, and you say, what is a woman's responsibility? They all are gonna tell you, you know, cooking, cleaning. They're gonna start that. Oh, cooking, cleaning, you know, taking care of kids. Every man gonna say it, because that's a given. A man does this, a woman does that. So if you're a submissive woman and you get with a man who believes that, because as you know, in my other video I talked about proposal, when you know that the man you're dating or the one you're going to marry believes that, and you say, yes, I'll marry you, get ready to submit to that. 2, that's your primary role in the marriage you agreed, in the contract you agreed to, which is what a marriage is. It's a unified contract. That's what you agreed to. So nothing wrong with women going out and getting secular jobs and, doing stuff outside the house to bring in a little money. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the confusion. Women, just because you go get a little job and you bring in a little bit of money, your primary role in the house, your primary task that your husband has assigned you, that he has delegated to you, those are your priorities. So just because you go out and get a job and come home, don't start that delegating stuff. Don't start that, well, I work, so, now you gonna do this and you gonna do that and you gonna have to help me because No, you don't do that. Not saying that a man shouldn't, they say, pull your weight, meaning appreciate the fact that a woman is there to clean up after you. Appreciate a woman that does do that for you. So maybe, instead of just kicking your shoes off and throwing them somewhere, you might sit them nicely. Or, instead of throwing your pants right next to the laundry basket, you actually make it in there. I'm not saying you got great basketball skills, and I ain't telling you to 3-point shoot it, but, you guys kind of get the gist.
And men, we do have to let our wives know, because she are the weak of vessel, so we have to let her know that she's, we appreciate her when she's cooking and she's taking care of the kids and nurturing the kids and stuff. Right. We have to let her know that she's doing a good job. We have to also, treat our wives. We treat her good. We take her out the places. We see, we want to ask questions, see what she like to do. It's not all about us. It's not, I want to go to the movies and watch a movie that I want to watch and drag her along. So we have to cater to our wives too. We want the household to be a fun atmosphere, for her too.
And I'm going to tell you something else, men and women. Generalizing, but this is a fact. Women are emotional creatures. Men really aren't. They're logical. They do things more on a logical level. So understand this. Sometimes men show appreciation without doing this. So a lot of us women, we like to be told, I love you, and, oh, thank you, I appreciate that, and, stuff that us women would say, okay? Understand, women, men ain't women. They don't do what women do. They might not come up to you and tell you, I love you, but they showed you. They might not tell you, I appreciated you doing that, but they showed you. So while you guys us women got our ears open waiting for a man to say something to us, We need to open our eyes and watch what they do, because it's a very, and I mean a very big possibility that they're showing us that they love us, that they're showing us that they appreciate us. They're just not speaking it.
You're right about that. But we also want to show her that we love her and tell her that, because when it comes to a woman, she loves words. So
words of affirmation.
So you have to say it. You can go buy her stuff. You can go, do whatever she wants you to do. But if you never say it out of your mouth, then it's almost like you ain't doing anything. So you have to open up your mouth and let your wife know that you love her, how much how good she's doing around the house, and you have to let her know all these things. It's gonna make her feel better. Right. And then if she feels better, she won't mind being a suggestion to you. She won't mind doing the things that make you feel good. But you have to also make her feel good. She won't have no problem with being under you.
Right. I definitely agree with that. It definitely goes both ways. Be aware that men and women are different, and that men don't show it, and women will tell you all day long, I love you, and and they'll do it all day long. But men is about action, and women are more like they like the hugs, the kisses, the stuff like that. So that's why it's really good for men to understand that women like to be told that, and to remember that, and that women like to be told, but men like to be shown. You can tell a man, I love you all day long, and I'm telling you, a man it's just words to him. But if with the same mouth you say I love you, you go and you give me an example of something that's mean, Eric, help me. You go mean. And you you might say I love you, but let's say you go and you cuss him out, or you go and you blast him. I'm talking about just talk about it.
You tell him I love you, but you go in there burn his food up. Like, really, you love me? You done burn all my food up, but you love me. Okay, I love you too.
Where'd you come up with that? I don't burn food.
No, I ain't saying you do. I'm just saying, like, somebody saying I love you. I love you, but they go in there and burn your food up, and you can cook better than that. Like, really?
Yeah, they don't. Watch this man. Why would he stand right there?
Some crazy people. Some crazy folks are not there.
Looks like he's looking to jump out in front of somebody.
Glad he didn't.
Okay. But look, it's not. Marriage is not an easy thing to deal with, because you're dealing with not only two different people, but two different genders. Where you'll have, the man is high levels of testosterone, women's are high levels of estrogen. You have two people trying to understand that other gender, and it can be difficult, because
a healthy marriage. Easy. Yes, a healthy marriage. It should be a fun marriage. You should laugh and have fun with your wife. Like, it should be fun. I mean, but have fun with your mate. I mean, life is it's a lot going on. Have fun, laugh more. Don't take everything so serious, and have fun with each other. Take care of your business, but have fun. At the end of the day, sit home and do the things you need to do, but then relax, and then you treat each other. You go out. You want to go out to some kind of somewhere to to a restaurant or something, movies or whatever. Have fun doing it. Don't be all mad with each other over the smallest little things, because neither one of us are perfect. So have fun with your mate. Make your marriage something fun.
Yeah, and understand there may be times that you have to watch something you don't really want to watch. But you do it because you make a sacrifice to make the other person happy. But it can't be a one-sided sacrifice. You have to understand where each person is coming from. And women, I know sometimes we act like, we don't feel appreciated, because the thing is, we have a lot of tiny tasks. And when I say tiny task, I mean like laundry is a tiny task. Cooking is a tiny task. It's little stuff like, taking care. They seem so big to us because, like my husband said earlier, women are the weaker vessel, meaning that a vessel is a container. It's like it contains, it's what you can hold. And women are weaker at it, meaning that we can't really hold and take on as much as a man can. We can't, we can't deal with as much as a man can. And when we have these little bitty tasks, we feel so unappreciated. But you have to consider a man. You have to say, well, what is their responsibilities? Because I don't notice their responsibilities. So actually step back for 10 minutes and actually think, what is the man's responsibility and how much weight does it hold? Men have a household to run. They have to make sure that everybody's on point. So if you have 5 people in your family, he has to worry about 5 people. Then he has to worry about the household itself. Then he has to worry about every bit of, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, psychological,
safety and all that.
Everything. He has to really be worried about every bit of that. And as women, sometimes we tend to forget. So as y'all know, I'm a substitute teacher. And so I do that kind of on the side just to contribute. But look, so there was a student of mine, and he straight A'd all through school. Like, he was like, oh, look, I got all A's and everything. So he took a test. It was the end of the year semester. They get their little report cards, and they took the final at the end of so his grade went from an A and shot to a D like that. And he said, I don't understand how that happened. And I said, let me explain it to you. Because all those little assignments that you had all through the year are tiny tasks. But at the end of the year, when you took that one final, your entire grade plummeted. Because it's called weight. That final held more weight than them tiny tasks. And women have to understand that the stuff that we do are tiny tasks. We stress ourselves out enough with these little tiny tasks. Imagine the stress level for a man's responsibility. Imagine the stress level for a man that has to go through a headache with a woman who's a headache and who makes a humongous deal because, oh my God, I feel so unappreciated. You're adding to his responsibilities. You're adding to the stress because now instead of just, hey baby, what you doing today? Little emotional support. Now it's, oh baby, come on, it's okay. And now you have to, it's stress. Don't be a man's peace.
Right. And also, man, you have to compliment your wife. You have to let her know everything's gonna be all right. You have to rub her back, massage her feet, run her water. You have to do all these things, to make her feel good. You make her feel good, she's gonna make you feel good, and vice versa. So you can't be, I'm gonna come home from work. I'm tired, and I don't want to have to deal with the kids, and I'm gonna let you do all that because she's tired too. So we have to learn how to, share sometimes.
Right.
I go in there and deal with the kids sometimes. Then other times she deal with them. I take the load off of her. She need her bath water ran. If she come home late and I'm already home and some dishes in there or something. Well, my boy's big, so I don't have to do dishes. They gonna do the dishes. So
yeah, we finally gave our kids chores.
My kids do the dishes, but I would do the dishes. I mean, to take the load
you've done them before.
To take the load off my wife. I don't, it ain't something that I do all the time, but I will do them. I don't have no problem doing them. So.
And what I did to help my husband is I used to leave and go to work, but I actually started a couple businesses because I really wanted to be able to stay home. So I just did whatever I could do to try to start some businesses. And maybe there's small business. I have one business is just a hobby. It's literally just a hobby, and I have fun with it. But I did what I could so that I could stay home. Not everybody has that option, but I know a lot of women will try to go to work and they'll try to make more money than their husband, and then they'll come home with well, you only brought in this much and you only brought in that much. First of all, didn't nobody tell you to go and get no big old job like that and bring in more money than your husband, first of all. Didn't nobody tell you to do that. If you did do it, understand something. Marriage is 100-100. You do what you have to do because your husband is asking you to help him.
Right. And you're not in competition with your husband. The husband's not in competition with the wives. Right. You're working together to make your marriage go smooth. When you start competing with each other, that's when your marriage can start to fail. But look at each other as competition. In time, you look at something as competition, somebody have to win. So
that's true.
So you don't want to bring that in your marriage. You want to look at your mate as she's your helper. you know, she gonna make things easier for you. You gonna make things easier for her. You work as a team, and if you work as a team, you will have a winning team. The marriage will be happier. It will be healthier. The way a marriage is supposed to be. You won't mind going in there fixing your husband something to eat. You won't mind massaging his feet because this man will die for you. He'll do the same for you. You get sick, you know, come down with cancer or something for you. He ain't going nowhere. So, and vice versa. So.
Yep. You men, you have to give your woman something to respect. You can't just be a tyrant and be like, well, you're going to do what I tell you to do regardless. You don't get to make the decisions. I make the final decision. So if you're going to do it, then you're going to do it. See, you being a tyrant. And now you're not being what, you're not giving her anything to respect. Respect is a consideration of somebody's feelings. It's thinking about how that person feels. And I'm telling you right now, she is not going to respect you if she's not going to care about how you feel if you're not giving her anything to care about. If you're not giving her anything to respect, you're going to have a really hard time with her respecting you. And if you start that tyrant stuff, she's not going to truly respect you. She's going to fear you. You're going to intimidate her. So she may listen to you if you're beating on her or whatever. She might listen to you because she fears you or because you've intimidated her. But she's not going to truly respect you at all. So you have to give her something to respect. And it's the same way with women. Women, carry yourself with decency. Respect yourself. You can't ask nobody to respect you, but you can't even respect yourself. So you have to think about the image that you're portraying out and how that's making your husband look. Because that's very big. When I'm telling you, one thing that a husband has to stress about is how his family is being looked at. If his family's out of control, it's not a good image for the husband, and he has to stress about it. If he has a feisty woman or a woman that's disrespectful, who he goes out in public, she's just disrespectful, he has to stress about that.
And another thing too, if you have a potty mouth, kind of, clean it up. Especially if your husband, if he don't have no potty mouth, then you shouldn't be having too much of a potty mouth. Because you represent him. So he don't want to have to take you somewhere and you slipping out cussing because you're so used to cussing, you don't know how to stop.
Right.
So, kind of, clean it up. When you're home, you do what you do. But, I mean, when I hear a woman cuss a lot, it's just manly. It's kind of like a turn off. And I think majority of men look at a woman who cuss a lot as a turn off. It's just manly.
Right.
So.
Because back in the day, it was the term was cussing like a sailor. And back when that term first came about, women weren't sailors. Women didn't go out and sail. They didn't go out looking for fish and food or whatever. The men were the ones that did that. And so when that term came about, you cussing like a sailor, it's basically saying you're cussing like a man. You're being extremely masculine because you're choosing to cuss. On top of that, I can educate for a whole hour and a half in a school about each cuss word. And I'll tell a student, you cannot use a word outside of its context. And if you do, you have to prove to me that you're using it correctly. No cuss word can be used correctly if it's used correctly. So not only do you sound masculine, but you actually also sound uneducated and ignorant because you don't know even what you're saying. It's sad because it sounds like gibberish. And you ever seen those things on Facebook where they like mess up the words, and when you're reading, you're like, what? And then you have to read it again because you're like, what? It's the same way with cuss words. When people start cussing, when you're actually talking to somebody who knows the real meanings behind each one of those words, and then they use it, it doesn't make any sense, and you tend to sound very uneducated. So when you're trying to educate people to them, you're like, you're what? What are you saying? So I definitely agree with that. If you're a cusser and you try to clean that up, especially as if you want to be looked at as a lady and a feminine woman, a nice, decent woman that you want your man to cherish. Try to clean that up. It's not going to be an easy task because cussing is a habit. And sometimes people cuss because it makes them feel good, because they're really, really, really negative word. It's like overkill. It's like stabbing a horse a whole bunch of times because it just makes you feel better. Learn to have self-control and learn to control that. So I'm going to agree with Eric on that one. Anything else you have to say? I thank you for joining me on my video.
Yeah.
Eric's not a he's not a video picture kind of person. He kind of just stays in the, but about probably the majority of everything that I've learned from my husband. That's another thing, ladies. Let your husband teach you. Whenever you come into a marriage, you want to conform to your husband, so let him teach you.
Yes, and your husband, you have to have something to teach the woman. Because if you don't have anything to teach the woman, then she won't have nothing to respect. Then she will take the lead, and she will start to teach you.
And she will be boss lady, and then, you know, you're going to be running around with the tail between your legs. And the crazy thing is, once your woman starts doing that, and she thinks it's going to be really, really hard to tame her. Right. I'm talking about really hard to tame her. Once you let her get away with stuff like that, it's like a spoiled child. You got a spoiled woman, and she's going to be so disrespectful.
Yes, and it's also, I mean, to the woman, it might be something that she might think is great, but it's not great when you have to take on both roles. When you have to be the man and the woman, it'll burn you out, you know, so.
Yep, and like I said,
so naturally she'll want to naturally be back in her natural spot. She don't want to be making them dangerous or important decisions like that when she have a man in the house who's supposed to be making these type of decisions. So
yeah, I always say that, you know, women don't sit here and tell me about how stressed out they are. Oh, I'm so stressed out, because your body's not meant to do that. Your body's not meant to take on that much responsibility, or not even that much responsibility, but that much emotion, that much stress, that much stuff. Your body's really not meant to have to do all of that. Back a long time ago, and this is another history lesson, little girls were married off at the age of 13, 14 years old. Like, they were married off really young. And so they kept it in the house, and that was kept there for a reason. You know, we just
make your marriage fun. That's how people live to, so like two married people who've been married like 50 years. Mm-hmm. They enjoy each other. They have fun with each other. They don't nag each other all day. They work together. They don't compete with each other. If you don't compete with your mate, I promise you, your marriage will go smooth.
Yes, and being competitive. Thank you. Being competitive is actually a masculine trait. Just saying. It is. It's more masculine than it is feminine. I know a lot of girls are like, well, I play volleyball and I'm a cheerleader. And yeah, well, but being the actual competitive part of it, wanting to win and wanting to be the best, is actually it's actually a masculine trait. So,
and don't no man cautious. And don't no man want to compete with his wife. Like, he want to come home and relax. He want to love his wife and have fun with her and enjoy her. Not come home and compete with her. And no.
I definitely agree with that. So with that being said, guys, I hope that me and Eric were able to kind of like touch a few points that everybody's been thinking about, questioning. Yes, thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. I know this is ENC, question reflection, and eventually I think he'll warm up to the idea of the videos, but he is he don't too much like the video. Oh, really? Look at here. Look at that. Anyways, so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and remind you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment if you have any questions or any statements that you want to make. Also, make sure that you share this with your friends and family, or anybody that you feel like needs to know and understand the roles and responsibilities and what it is to be submissive. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop this. You go ahead and watch it, and I will catch you on the flip side.